Bob always the first face I see. And then his camera goes off. There it is. Todd getting a walk in. Good, we're recording. Lisa's getting a walk in. A lot of people moving and grooving tonight. How we all feeling?
Difficult.
Fabulous. Just gonna be me talking tonight. I get it. We're tired. We had a long Tuesday.
I
Cat, I don't want to talk about it.
Fabulous
Registration day
Tuesday,
stressed me
man.
out.
Fabulous.
didn't say anything, man. It was great, coach.
You were trying to
Very
win
long day. Very long day. Oh,
long day.
idea.
Some people got the races they want. Mr. Tom did not. As always, I'll let people trickle in for a second, make some small talk. Every day is long. I'm not reading ACOTAR. My wife reads these. I'm not getting on board with it. Relax. Feeling great. Still super sick. Well, thank God we're on Zoom. You're going to really try to get me to read this ACOTAR, aren't you? I'm going to do some muting. Boom. Mute some people. All right, I'll let people trickle in. We're going to dive into strength training tonight. Let me go screen share. I'll leave room for questions at the end. People can trickle in as they come. Let's see. All right. Strength training 101. I'm going to go to the basics. I'll cover the gamut. If this is new to you, hopefully it all makes sense. If it doesn't, ask plenty of questions. And if you've heard it before, I remixed this one. I remixed some of the old strength training stuff, added some new stuff. So hopefully take away something with a little bit of value. Everybody here, I would say, is probably at a different place, whether they're brand new, getting back into it, lifting for a while. Not sure maybe if you're doing things right or if you're even in the right place right now. Hopefully you feel like you are. As always with the challenge, I'll say it's not about perfection, but understanding the basics just well enough to train confidently without the confusion. So tonight I'll break down how strength training works, the foundational movements that the body's designed to do, um, how the reps and rest matters, why the different rep schemes matter, choosing weight safely, structuring training. If you don't hang out after this, after the challenge, how to structure training in a way that kind of fits your life. As always, no dumb questions. If you feel like you should have known something already, that's okay. That's why I'm here tonight to refresh and revamp on some things. So I like to think, strength training is definitely more than just lifting weights. It's not just lifting weights. It's teaching your body the right way to produce force safely and efficiently. So you're not only just training for force, you're training your central nervous system, the muscles, the joints, the tendons, everything in coordination with each other. So the CNS, central nervous system, gets a lot of work there too. Try to think about every rep as practice moving well, practice controlling, practice just being confident in your body, like the young lady I found in the photo. Like that's how you should feel leaving the workout. Like, man, I am. Hopefully nobody's got delicate ears, but leaving the workout feeling I am a badass. Like that's how I want everybody to leave feeling every workout. Looking different will probably happen, but generally function comes first. So my end goal is to have people moving better. I I love the messages when somebody says, I think I might have mentioned this last night, when somebody says, I finished my first race without an injury. My knee didn't bother me for the first time in a race, or my back didn't flare up. So that's the goal. I would say, I'm gonna try to get everybody involved instead of running my mouth as much as I did last night. Throw it in the chat, like, where do you feel least confident with strength training right now? And there's no wrong answer. Just it could be an injury that's holding you back. Like you got no bicep, Bob. I knew yours, man. I knew yours. I'll wait until that chat pops off. Claudia said pull. Claudia is substantially stronger with legs and pushing exercise. Weights and rest periods. Knowing how I'm going to cover that tonight. Knowing right weights, perfect. Knees. Hopefully, Ashley, we can tune the knees up. We can fix them a little bit, clean them up. being scared of doing the movement incorrectly. I will put this out for everybody during the challenge, and I do not get this enough from my current one-on-one or group coaching people. If you ever want to send me a video, send me a video. Even better if you can get a couple different angles. That's the one thing I really miss about, in-person stuff is being able to correct movement, because when you move right, you hit the right muscles, you minimize the risk of injury. Send me a video if you're ever, be that weirdo who sets up a tripod in the gym like the 18-year-old college kids that made me quit Crunch Fitness. They got the cameras everywhere. Send the video. Challenging my lifts without killing my runs. Okay. Low back from a broken back in my late teens. So, yeah, we got to adjust from there. Workout from home, only I'm a limited number of weights. So trying to figure out a way to deal with that without breaking the bank. Adjustable dumbbells or a gym. Stronger and heavier. Being scared of doing the move. Okay, we got there. I'll make sure I hit all the comments. Not feeling like the muscles are actually working the right way. Interesting. I'll let you know what to feel. Yes, fix my lunge, please. I'll try. When they increase, do all the high end reps. I'll cover it. My garage was dirty. Okay, Kat, you've been moving for 5 months. Split squats today were not fun. I realize how uncoordinated I feel. Remind me to bring it back to split squats towards the end. I'll cover the ground first, and we'll talk split squats. Why strength training matters. So I was actually just listening. I just started a new audiobook like 2 hours ago called Push, and kind of made me rethink, even though it all tie in here, but it made me rethink, some of the things I was going to put out there. But the author, I'm going to look, I'm not even going to butcher it because it's right up there in my Spotify. It's the last thing I had open. Dr. Jordan D. Metzel with Mike Zimmerman. It's called Push, and they were talking about, just in the intro, I only made it through the intro, that originally we focused very much on lifespan. So how long a person lives. Person lived to 70, 80, 90. And then we started comparing that with health span. And health span is more like, when can you live a healthy life to? So one of my goals is, if I make it to 90, I don't want somebody else wiping my own bum for me. I don't want somebody to help me get out of the chair. My wife's stepdad, his father, 100 years old, passed away Christmas Eve, and walked up and down flights of stairs till the very end, like it wasn't. And I'd see him. He looked, 100 years old. He looked 100. He looked frail, and he would bound stairs. I remember we were at a Hammock Beach Resort, and they got a flight of about just 30 steps, and I'm standing there behind him like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to
Hey,
save a life right now. And he just, no problem. His 100th birthday party, he moved and grooved around the
Hey,
room like it wasn't a thing. And I'm like, that's
no,
that's
we're
the
not.
end
You're
goal for
not
me.
getting candy.
You can have a
I
little bit
want
of
candy.
candy.
No,
There we go. I see. I forgot the mute button. Now I can't find it. I'll find it. Boom, boom. Maybe I won't. Uh-oh. Now I lost all my screens. But yeah, I want to live a long, healthy life. Where's my mute button? There we go. Mute all. Nope, it disappeared. It's okay. We'll survive. Let's see. So muscle is metabolic. I'll get back on track, and then I'll see if I can toy with things in the other on the other side of things. Muscle is metabolic. What that means, the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you're going to burn at rest. It's going to help regulate blood sugar. It's going to support your joints and tendons, protects the bone density, and I don't know, when it makes me feel confident. Like I was a skinny, frail theater kid who never had an ounce of muscle on his body and was about 260 pounds. And as I got stronger, I just felt good. And I also think that's, there's parents on here talking telling their kids not we're not having candy right now. Like, it sets a good tone for the kids. And I think, you know, anytime your kids can see you do something hard, do hard things, I think that's a really good thing. I loved seeing kids out there running. What they run, the 5 and the 10 cat?
Yes, they ran the 5 and 10 with me
I
for
thought
jumping.
so. And I think there is just such power when your children see you do hard things, like, because yeah, they they mirror what you do. And then, there's the mindset shift that happens when you start building strength. People start avoiding hard things. They start trusting their body a little more. And it's the same goes for running. Like when you first ran that first 5K, they handed you the medal and you're like, oh my God, I couldn't do this. And see people go on that journey from a 5 to a 10 to a half to a full. Like you start trusting yourself a little more. So that's one of my big drivers on why strength training matters. Pop quiz time. Can anybody name any of the foundational movement patterns?
Push,
Push, hinge, there we go.
pull,
Pull, lunge, squat. Wow.
beer
Yeah.
cheese soup.
What?
Nothing.
What did you say?
I said beer cheese soup.
I love it.
You're wild. This is my troublemaker. She's been with me since challenge one, so she's allowed to be a little. Oh, Bob mentioned one we don't hear often. The general ones you are going to hear, plus two extras I went into tonight. Added a little extra on it. The squat, the hinge, push pull, lunge, carry is not talked about enough. And I love that carry's being talked about more because grip strength is becoming so big now. It's tied to longevity. Oh, you know what? I went on a tangent about my father-in-law and I never even finished the story. They're tying health span now to muscle span. So that's why we want to that's why we want to maintain muscle span. And I'm a little all over the place for the newbies here. I'll always be a little jump around. So I'll remember random things I forget later on in the night. Spartan, my grip strength was rough. I have no grip strength. My grip strength is awful. That is something we need to work on. So they're finding a direct correlation with your longevity based on grip strength these days. Normally, I would break out all of these. I'll do a quick rundown because I don't want to bore anyone with, things you already know. Some people already know, but squat is pretty simple. Think any movement where you're coming up and down from standing position, chest stays nice and proud, sitting. That's one movement I always put at the top because people say, why is a squat important? Because you squat in every day of your life. 90% of the people on the call right now are sitting. And when you get up from that chair, that's a squat pattern. Hinge. They said lift with your legs, not with your back. That's hinge. So feel the hamstrings. It's working the posterior chain when you do those, working the glutes, the hamstrings, get a little calf action in there. And if you do those hinges right, like deadlifts, like the girl in this picture, you really do get a total body work out of them. So deadlift's really one of the foundational moves inside that pattern. Push, it's going to be anything like a row or a chest press, shoulder press, anything, tricep extension, anything like that where you are pushing something. Pull is going to be your rows and your pull-ups, all that fun stuff. If you can't do a pull-up yet, don't freak out. I'm going to try to get you there. Lunge seems to be the most hated. You can raise a hand if you hate lunges.
I do.
Everybody.
My knees hate them.
You've been through it with the knees though. Bob was able to deadlift 650 with no straps, so grip strength is so important.
Nice.
Charlie, Sophie's a Survivor fan. I'm a Survivor fan too. For any Survivor fans, Charlie from a few seasons ago said that grip strength was the secret to Survivor challenges. There's a lot where grip strength comes in. I always wonder when I watch Survivor, like, would my strength translate to that? Could I do those things? Coming into the ones you see less, carries, again, there goes that grip strength and really just the ability to move weight. It sucks the life out of you a little bit. It sucks the life out of you when you do a farmer's walk where you're just grabbing heavy weight like that and walking a football field. And then core stability, core should be core should be emphasized on every single one of the above movements. Focus always on bracing your core, keeping it nice and tight, and instead of just memorizing the exercise, start to think more about the movement pattern. So all of them, every single exercise is going to fit into one of the above there. If you train those patterns consistently, you tend to cover the body and reduce the blind spots. And I got to talk to a lot of you, before we started the challenge. I still got some calls to work through. And some people say, I've only ever trained legs. And the body is it's a machine where everything ties together, and you really want to fix weak points, and that's where something will creep up later in life, where something will hurt. If you're nice and balanced, which boom, why full body balance? The best picture I could find for balance. Coach Tom Sphere, heights. I'm getting vertigo looking at the photo. I don't mess with heights, but if you skip movement patterns altogether, that's key to injury. So start pushing without pulling. The shoulders tend to suffer. It's got to be a good balance there. Runners tend to have very dominant quads. Dominant quads, so the hamstrings get weak. That's why I pulled the hamstring while I was running. So squatting without hinging, the back starts taking a hit, the backside of the body, and then bilateral training. That's where we're working both sides of the body without doing the single leg stuff. Lunges, Bulgarian split squats, that tends to lead to instability. And I've started referring to that one with people as kind of the Bulgarian split squat as the sniper. It is going to find the weak point and it is going to attack it. It's going to come after that weak point. It's going to hunt it down, and it puts a magnifying glass on whatever is weak in those legs. And even the Bulgarians hate those split squats. Todd, I agree. Eric, you're not late. You're just showing up and saying what's up. You're all good. Weighted
Hey,
lunges, took
Tom.
out my knees for 3 months. And
Tom,
yes,
would I be able to share this slide for my home exercise class for my cardiac patients?
heck yeah. I'll put the
Because I do include a balance little spiel on some balance as well and why that's important for,
I love it.
as we age, that's a risk, right, to increasing your falls. So I would love if I could get a copy of this slide.
I'll put the whole slide deck in the chat. I'm gonna start doing that
Okay.
this time. Whoever asked for that last night, my memory is not the sharpest. Whoever asked for that last night, I've never done that before, but thank you for asking. It, you might want to see along with it. So yeah, I'll throw that in the chat. And big cause of injury as we age, balance. Balance, falls, you that's what makes me nervous for, I look at my very fit dad versus my not so fit mom, and they live in the coast. They just dealt with a big snowstorm in Connecticut, and she's telling me she's doing things, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Uh-oh, it's gonna happen. And I get very, very nervous. And she's had falls where she's injured herself in the recent past, and it's like it doesn't get easier on the body, but the only way prevent that is now starting to train the body. So
And
if
it's
you're
a major performance measure in hospitals,
major performance
reducing
measure in
falls.
hospitals,
Yeah, reducing falls.
this is why I keep you here. You always got good input. Where was I? But yeah, balancing the whole training, the whole picture, that just builds a more durable body. So I think durability, especially as we get older, is a big win for people. Is there anything outside of lunges everybody skips? Any others that you're like, nah, I don't want to do upper body? Todd, I remember you telling me that Todd's mom fell a couple weeks ago, broke hip at 90 years old. Val skips planks. You aren't just exercising for yourself today, but for your future selves. I like that one. My sweaty presence. Pull something in a hamstring while weak, while running. Was trying to beat out the young girl during the generation gap game. Bulgarian split squats can die in a deep dark hole. Okay. I'm gonna make you. I still hate them. I've trained them up. I've gotten so much better. Push-ups. I'll tell you what. Push-ups were the bane of my existence for a long time, not personally, professionally. I My job was to train coaches for 19 different Orange Theory locations, train and evaluate them. And nothing triggered me more when I'd go into a studio and I'd find somebody and I'd say, hey, miss, I just ask for feedback. That's what I do as I train people. I would say, get some feedback on how long you been with us? 8 years. 8 years. And I had watched that person in the class and they said, you ever tried doing a real pull up? Well, push up? Have you ever tried that? and no coach had ever helped them scale it up. And that was bane of my existence that younger coaches weren't doing that. And I felt like I wasn't doing my job. So how do we build that up? If you're struggling with push-ups, I'm gonna give it to you real easy. Start in the high plank, fight gravity all the way down, fight as slow as you can. Take the knee, press up from there. Fight gravity back down, fight gravity, fight gravity, fight gravity. Take the knee, press up from there. That will help build up push-ups in no time. The same goes for pull-ups. I got a goal to get Claudia doing free pull-ups by the end of the year. Claudia, I'm going to get you there. Lisa, same thing goes with the pull-ups. If you were to attach a resistance band, you know, pick your knee up. No, so pull yourself up with the band on you, then kind of lift your knee so that resistance band isn't doing as much and fight gravity on the way down. You build muscle in that negative rep as well. So that helps. Have a hard time with the planks with shoulder touch because I have no shoulder strength. No, okay. Almost ate carpet Monday morning. We're going to work on that. You can take a knee if you need to. Same thing. Build it up. Agree. Weighted lunges. Okay, we got that. Make sure I hit everything in the chat because y'all being chatty tonight. I like it. Shoulder and knee bend squats. Any weight on these joints is a problem. We're gonna work it up. Kathy, I'm gonna run you through. I got a call with you tomorrow. I'm gonna run you through the on-demand library and give you some extra homework. Full straight arm planks, not bad. Struggle with breathing during forearm planks. Interesting. I want to do one singular pull-up. Honestly, get a set of resistance bands, or if your gym has I think Claudia's gym's got the one where you can reduce the weight on your body, so you put your knees or your feet on it, and it actually works counter to most of the machines out there. So most machines, if you go up in weight, it's going to be harder. This one, if you go up in weight, it acts more of a subtraction. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you put it at 150, you're really only doing the pull-up with 50 pounds. So you would want to lower the weight to progress that one. But that's an easy one to really build up. We're going to get one pull-up unassisted. Getting the hips to stop clicking on those reverse sit-ups. Mobility. I'll give you some mobility, April. We'll get the hips to stop clicking. Let's keep it moving. I like all the questions and engagement. So a lot of people said, and I always pivot these based on the questions I get. Why the reps so low? So different rep ranges tend to train different qualities. So low reps, 1 through 5 generally, tend to be best for strength. So building overall strength. Hypertrophy might be a foreign word to people. That is muscle building. That tends to happen in the 6 to 12 range, depending on the muscle group, sometimes 8 to 12. Then we go into muscular endurance with very high reps. I think all of them have value. In the challenge, you will see all of them. In my normal programming, usually, now the challenge, 6 weeks. So if you started early, you got a bonus 2 weeks of strength because I do think that sets the foundation. It sets the tone. But as of yesterday, on the challenge, if you're in those workouts, the next 2 weeks, well, starting on yesterday, these 2 weeks will be strength focused. Then we'll go into 2 weeks of hypertrophy focus, 2 weeks of muscular endurance focus, because I wanted you to get a taste of everything. And with that, normally I would say 3 to 4 weeks is the sweet spot for adaptation to occur. So your body adapts to things, and then it's good to mix it up. You don't want to live in one rep range forever. I got a few friends in here. I'm not going to call them out by name. I'm going to just see if they smile. That really lifted in a very low rep range their entire life, and now they've got some nagging injuries because they went very low reps and super heavy their whole life, and they Bob's got the arms up and strong as heck, but you're dealing with some injuries, right? So I do think there's value in mixing it up. And I appreciate you letting me call you on that. I didn't mention your name, but you raised the hand, so I figured we were good. I think there's value in mixing up. And I say that at the same time, he could have probably bench pressed 225 pounds for like 40 reps at once. 30? Yeah, 30 reps. So his body did have the muscular endurance. But, good program, definitely should cycle through them, but also cycle through them intentionally. Big problem I see in like the group fitness space. You say, you'll come in on a Tuesday and then you might have low reps. And then you'll come in on a Thursday and you might have high reps. and it's not enough time doing the same thing to get better at it. So you want to try to get better at it for 2 to 4 weeks and then adjust and adapt. Let's see. Next. And then we got that nice picture with him. He has eight. I don't even know how he got 8 plates up and overhead. Maybe they're tens. Maybe they're tens, but the low rep strength training, that's about teaching your body to produce force efficiently. So again, 1 to 5 rep range. This tends to have a longer rest. So people said, "Oh my God, 90 seconds seems like a lot." It should suck a little bit of life out of you. So if you're going, and I said we're at 90 seconds right now for the first phase, but some of the strongman powerlifters, they take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes between sets. They let the full body, the nervous system recover. That's that's a seriously long rep. Sometimes I'll cap out 2 to 3 minutes. And the goal with this stuff is really it's not to grind through the reps, but control it. Learn that to, move that weight effectively, efficiently. And you want, and for this comes Bob said that's way too long. This comes into the question of when should the weight go up. Control. If you go up and you can't control it and it looks sloppy, you've seen that kid on the bench press that's like he's swerving around and he's looking all crazy. Everybody's seen it and he's trying to get him up, and you're like, oh, you're not even really lifting that. Your whole body's, I'm having a heart attack across the gym thinking I'm gonna have to pull this weight off. That's too heavy. So each rep should generally look the same. If the form changes too much, the load might be a little too heavy. Last one could be a little fuzzy, but generally you want your first to look as good as your last, and that's where you call it. And that type of training is really going to raise the ceiling on your strength. And once that ceiling goes up, the rest of these phases start feeling a little easier. They start feeling a little easier, and don't rush the rest. If you don't need it, try to go a little heavier next time. And 60 seconds is decent. If you're somebody's like, oh, 90 seconds a lot, when you're in the real strength building phase, 60 is probably good. But anything like if you're going heavy, 15 to 30 seconds, you're not really training the strength, you're more so training fatigue, which that'll come later on, but the strength will take a little more patience. And then this is what I went into this morning. I went into my hypertrophy phase, just wrapped up a strength phase, and this is where you'll generally see muscle growth happen. And where I think, a lot of people should spend a good amount of time because we want to build muscle. Lives, it's in the 6 to 12 range. Sometimes you'll see 8 to 12. And muscle, it's protective tissue. It's supporting the joints, it's supporting impact, it's improving metabolism. So this is where I think we should spend a good amount of time. Even though we want to be balanced, spend a good amount of time here. Um, Challenging, but controlled. So today was kind of sucking the life out of me. Just that jump from 1 to 4 reps to 8 to 12, I was getting a little more gas than I normally do. So my body's got to just adapt and adjust and get used to it. I'm looking forward to my workout, not tomorrow, but the next day. Finish the sets just feeling worked, not wrecked. So hypertrophy, definitely consistency over time. It does take time to gain muscle. Again, don't try to chase the exhaustion. Want repeatable effort just as time goes on. And then we go to, I don't know, maybe this one was my least favorite. Muscular endurance, high reps. This is the light stuff. And I think a lot of people excel here. A lot of people excel here because this is what you see most people do and get caught, seeing a lot more. Anybody I've talked to that's got a Peloton, they're like, I got fives at home. I've got tens at home, which is going to kind of fall into this lighter load, shorter rest. But this is the one that teaches the muscles to sustain effort. So again, I'll bring it back to running. You get to mile 20, that muscle gets tired. It gets tired, things start caving, the shoulders roll, the back starts to fold forward. The high rep stuff kind of is going to help you sustain that when things get tired. A lot of that matters in, like in real life because how many people feel fully rested right now? I didn't get any yeses. I was lying when I put my hand up. We
Ew.
heard kids screaming in the background. We got a heck no. We got a ha. You know, fatigue is normal. Life is hard. There's a lot of just stress in life. So doesn't it ever happen when we're fully rested? We always move when we're fatigued. Even though we probably shouldn't. We train when we're stressed. I've got at least, I can only see about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 25 faces right now out of, where'd my count go? I can see 25 faces right now, and I can count 5 people that I know did dopey this year. Like, we run on tired legs. Can I stretch on my 90-second rest? Give me 1 second. So yeah, once I finish this slide, I'll touch on that, Marcella. We run on the tired legs. That high rep training is going to build more of a tolerance to the fatigue, while hopefully reinforcing good movement patterns. Again, all 3 of these focus on that movement pattern being nice and clean. You could always send me a video. I will say that 5, 10, 15, 20 times. And that lighter weight shouldn't mean sloppy reps. So the quality is always going to matter more, especially as fatigue sets in. But this is one that kind of builds resilience, I've learned. I I hate high rep. It drives me nuts, but I know that when I do 4 weeks of high rep stuff, week five when I go back to heavier, week five when I go back to heavier, I always feel stronger. Always feel stronger at the end. And it's just giving the joints time to heal, the muscle time to heal. Can I stretch on my 90-second rest? Yes. Now, with that being said, I would not stretch any of the muscle groups that come after. So you don't want to stretch a muscle before you use a muscle. This goes for running too. Static stretching, not the best thing to do before running. We should be doing dynamic stretching that's moving, grooving, and shifting around. But static, not so good. So if your workout tomorrow starts with a deadlift, I wouldn't stretch right out the gate. I'd do that deadlift, and then in between sets of the next exercise, maybe stretch the hamstrings because that's what the deadlift's working. And then if the next exercise I had is shoulders, knock out the shoulders, and on your next exercise, start stretching those shoulders. But don't stretch the muscle, that you're going to use before using it because it's going to weaken it a little bit. And I used to cringe when people would stretch in the lobbies of the gym. Like, that science is out. Static stretching just going to weaken you, which opens the door to injury. And I don't want that. I don't want that for anybody. I'm stressing for tomorrow. You have me doing Smith machine back squats. I don't know where to start with the weight. Where do I start? 300. Please go lighter, Bob. Start lighter than 3. Feel it out. Feel it out a little bit. We can modify those out if you want. Stressing you out. Stressing me out, bro. Rest periods explained. So this is kind of where I see, I talked about people going 5 minutes, 10 minutes. 90 seconds to 3 minutes is probably the sweet spot on strength stuff. I don't think anybody who has started lifting 2 weeks ago is ever going to need 3 minutes of rest. It's if it sucks the life out of you and you got to kind of take some deep breaths and you got to sit for a minute, there's yes, there is. I'll touch on that in a second too. Um, yeah, if you got to sit down and breathe. I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to watch the chat too and got my slides up here. So definitely sit down, relax, catch your breath, breathe. Hypertrophy 60 to 90 seconds. I set our hypertrophy phase at 60. Endurance phase I set at 30. And then, the rest is part of the program. It's probably one of the most misunderstood parts of the training, but that's what allows adaptation to happen. So when you do a strength exercise, glycogen is depleted from the muscles. We want that glycogen to come back, replenish, so that you're just as strong on the next set. You might not be just as strong, but you're close. So that's what's going to get that adaptation. But different goals obviously require different rest. So we need that longer bit for strength. That way we can produce the force again. Hypertrophy, medium, because we want to balance the fatigue and the recovery, and then shorter. Our goal on endurance type stuff, challenge the stamina. But it's not about checking out. Don't avoid doing this for 16, 20 minutes, looking at your phone, scrolling, and doing all that stuff. Avoid that. Try to stay focused. prepare mentally for the next one. But if the set looks worse than the last, that's your cue. The rest was a little too short, or the load might have been a little too heavy. Let me come back up there in that chat. I don't want to miss anything tonight. Otherwise, I'll be diving through it. Benefits of lifting the same exercise in a row? Absolutely. So circuit training is a little different. The way I program, I will always program this way because there's a lot of benefit to it, is exercises that are the most taxing on the body and that are the most bang for your buck. I'm always going to program up front. So the simplest way to explain that, a squat or a deadlift. They don't just work your quads or your hamstrings. We've mentioned that deadlift, it's going to get the hamstrings, it's going to get the glutes, it's going to get the core stabilizing the spine. Your lats get involved, your grip strength gets involved. The calves might even get involved a little bit. The rear delt and the traps, keeping that the shoulders pulled down and back in the proper position, those are involved. It is a taxing exercise when done right. It's going to hit a lot of the muscles in the body all at once. Same goes for the squat. You're hitting the quads, but the calves are going to get some work in there. The core is going to get some work. The spinal erector muscles are working. A lot is working to go into those moves to keep your body moving efficiently versus a bicep curl. Your biceps working. You're just it's up and down. So I'll always program like that for a reason so that we're hitting these ones that are going to exhaust us. And I tell all my one-on-one group people like, hey, if you got to cut the workout short, there's another reason I program that way. The most bang for your buck is going to be at the front end of the workout always. So I'm never going to, very rarely throw something like a curl out the gate unless we're really trying to hammer your biceps and you just want to add an inch to your biceps over the next 3 to 6 months. So that's definitely the reason to go in that order that I'll set them in. I go out and get the mail in 3 minutes, get my steps in. Erica, I actually, that's part of the reason I get my steps in. I'm a little behind today because I've been in front of the laptop a bit, but I'm at 8,950. I'll put my towel on my bench. I will do a quick lap around the gym, focus on breathing, bringing my heart rate back down. I'll go fill my water bottle, start stalking out my next set and where I have to go next after that so I can see if there's a bench available. And yeah, I try to move and groove a little bit and not just sit on my butt. Think about the next set. Rest is hard for me between sets. Impatient to finish. I challenge you to try to go heavier next time then, which I'll get into in the next slide. Usually watching the video, and that's okay. Watch the video during the rest. I like that. Doing the full rest means my routine took about an hour yesterday. And I scheduled them to 90. You might only need closer to 60 in this particular phase. But, Amy wants to sculpt her arms. Okay, Amy, I'm going to give you extra arm work. You got extra day to give me? All right. I'll give you extra arm work. Let's keep moving right along. Moving right along. Choosing the starting weight, probably the biggest question I got. Start lighter than you think, but when choosing a starting weight, the goal is to finish each set with 1 or 2 left in the tank. So if you start losing the form on the starting weight, you're barely finishing the reps, it's definitely too heavy. If you're breezing through the set, it's definitely too light. So you should maybe have 1 or 2 left in the tank, should still be able to go a little more, but you're not, not completely dying on it. And it's also not easy. It's supposed to be a little challenging. If you're in doubt though, start a little lighter, increase the weight, when you can do all the sets at the top of the range with good form. So again, I shared mine yesterday, but 1 to 4, 1 to 5 on the reps. If you get 5 out, try a little more. This is the small increases matter. And this is, learn from things that I made mistakes from in my story. So I used to look at the 2.5 pound weights in the gym and the fives and be like, who puts a 2.5 on? Who puts a 5 on? Just put the 10 on. And my bench press stayed stuck forever. It stayed stuck for the longest time. And then when I took the 225 and I moved it up to, just putting the bare minimum 2.5 pounds on each side, it went up to 230 after no time, and it went up to 235 and so on. And those little increments are going to be big jumps any day of the week. Leanne is sore from yesterday. Aw. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I use that term a lot. So the upper body, you could generally increase 2.5 to 5. The legs tend to be able to take a little more. 5 to 10 is probably a safe spot to increase there. But even then, the progress isn't always adding the weight. So I did not I did not go up in weight today on my incline press, but I knew it was probably the best set I had ever done on the incline bench press, where I was able to slow and control lower. I had it at my chest, pause for a second, to the point where my buddy almost ran over and he wanted to spot me, and I was like, no, I got it. And then I lifted up from a dead stop, which is kind of a probably a more advancing, where you normally see people go down 1, 2, 3, 4, right back up. I was taking the pause, and it's like, are you okay? Well, I'm good. It's nice to control is good. Better depth if we're talking squats and stuff like that. And then just feeling confident moving the weight is a big thing. It was a struggle for me for years where I just did not feel confident going up, and all right, started building the right way and then moving and grooving. I have the Bowflex adjustable. Lots of good weight options. Same. I really like them. They're easy to change the weight on. Thinking I need to go get some tens. Just bought 18-pound dumbbells because I need something between 15 and 20. Absolutely. I think, that's the problem where, yeah, there's that big gap on those, which not a lot of gyms have 17 and a half. My gym doesn't have 17 and a half. But you can go to probably a 20-year-old LA Fitness and they have everything. 5, 7.5, 10, 12 and a half. They work the whole gamut. They're never in the right space. If you go to an LA Fitness, Godspeed, they're always out of place, but it's one of the few places I see that runs the gamut and does just go 5, 10, 15. Eric, I'm going back through the chat. I got that Muppet reference. Uh, did you watch the new Muppets? You can come off mute. I'm gonna get sidetracked. Yes, no?
I don't know if you can hear me or not. My phone's been weird recently, but I've watched it twice and I need them to put Rizzo's rendition of Blinding Lights on Spotify
It was
ASAP.
so
So
good. If you're a Muppets
I'm
fan,
obsessed with I wrote my senior thesis paper on the Muppets and the Muppet 5K is what got me into Run Disney. So yeah,
I
big
love it.
fan.
If anybody else is a Muppet fan, go watch it. It was so good. And I was so mad when I did, because I did not realize it was a one night special, like a test run. And I was like, when is this on again? We gotta watch this? And then Google's like, yeah, special event. So there's none of that to watch tonight. So I'm bummed. We'll get back on track. Training splits. So for the sake of the challenge, most of you, it's going to be a total body split. We have it downloaded. Make sure I'm hitting on those chats. Total body split. Other ones you'll see, you might see upper lower. So that's training the push, training the pull at the same time, the curls, the tricep extensions, the dips, things like that. And then lower body, your deadlifts, your lunges, and all that. Push pull legs. That's 3-day split. And then there's a couple other variations, but those will be the main things you see out there. One of those other variations, the bro split. So the bro split is what if you got a son in his 20s, or they're probably doing chest day Monday. It might be chest and buys, back and tries, followed by legs if they don't take Wednesday off because they hate leg day, because bros hate leg day. We'll throw in a little shoulders, and then I got to do arms again. That's what they call the bro split. Training splits just really how you organize the week. It's a tool, but it's not a rule. I like total body splits for runners because they spread the volume of the legs throughout the week versus doing a full on leg day. So it's not killing your legs completely, so you're able to maintain running. It's what I do, and my legs have thanked me since I switched over. And busy schedule. If I can hit all my muscle groups, I'm training for New York. If I can hit all my muscle groups in 3 workouts a day and still get, or 3 workouts a week and still get the same effect and get my runs on the off day, it works for the schedule. Upper and lower tends to, give you more volume. You could do upper Monday, lower Tuesday, upper Wednesday, Thursday, lower Friday, if your schedule allows it. And then another one I'll tend to mix in is push pull legs. But even then, looking at people's schedule, like I'll never schedule. So if we're doing 3 days like we are on the challenge, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm never going to schedule legs on a Friday. It's just not going to happen because most of the people I work with are doing a long run on Saturday. So it's like, why would I kill your legs before you go and kill your legs again? And you want to, for the push pull legs, you got to be a little more experienced. Poor Claudia is dealing with that now. That's why she was complaining about the pull exercises. We're learning her back might be the weak point, but none is more superior than the other. They work more so if you can sustain it. So that's where I tend to like total body because it is able to. I can balance it with my runs, and I'm not dying because I killed it on leg day. Every once in a blue moon, though, I get hungry to just go leg day. So we varied up, choosing the right split. Again, this comes back to just what your overall goals are. Not what you wish you could do. What can you maintain? Some people back in my 20s even or 30s, I could do 5 days a week. I didn't run at that point, so doing 5, 6 days was no problem, and I could do full long days of each because that was my lifestyle. Now I train for running as well, so I got to balance it out. I've noticed personally how well I recover is a big thing with the leg stuff. Or the total body. I'm getting a lot less injuries, and I just feel better, and that's my goal for a lot of people. Experience level too. If you come into the gym for the first time, do you really need to be hammering chest for an hour or hammering back and biceps for an hour? Probably not. You're going to get a benefit from a few sets here or there, mixed into the routine properly. You're going to benefit from that right out the gate. 5 days of strength used to set me up for failure. I consistently miss chest and back. So 3 days of strength, April. We'll call it the three days. And then like, what's your primary goal right now? If I flip my gears and say, you know what, I'm gonna go and do a competition, I would probably revamp. I'd stop on the running. I'd stop on the running and focus on the competition and really dial in on weak spots. Dial in on weak spots. Do you recommend a full day off? I like a full day off, and I never used to until I started incorporating them. And you said no running or strength. I think it's good for the nervous system. It's good for, we also got to let ourselves grow. And this was a hard concept for me to get behind for a while. It was, I started getting into this as, if you ever listen to like motivational things on YouTube or anything, like Eric Thomas, he's a motivational speaker, and his whole thing was how bad do you want it? Beyonce don't sleep, 50 Cent don't sleep. Why do I need sleep? Talking about no rest, and I don't take days off, and that's how I got into this with that mindset and listening to like people like that. And then I realized, when I took a day off, not only did I feel more recovered, feel stronger, feel rested, I was also a little hungry. Like I was ready to go on Monday because I'm like, dang, I missed the gym. I miss working out. And that doesn't mean being lazy. Like my wife and I'll take Sunday off. We'll go walk around Disney. Those of you that lived in the cold, sorry, not sorry. But that's what we do on our rest day. Let's see what I missed in there. Bob likes 5 days of strength. And you know what? Bob's got a different experience level, power lifter for quite some time. So he can handle a little more. I like doing strength Monday, Wednesday, Friday, running Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, off day on Sunday. Perfect. I'm all about the scheduled rest days. Eh, You know, I try to tie things back into life experience. Like I've gone on cruises where I'm like, I have to work out on my vacation. I have to work out on my vacation. The week I come back from vacation, I take maybe get a run in just because I like running the track on the cruise, and I maybe do one lift because I like seeing the gym in there, and that's about it when I go on vacation now. And when I get back, I always feel stronger. Like you give joints a little time to heal, the muscle time to rebuild, taking in a little extra more extra calories. I try to mix bike riding in there. I like that, Val, but there's value in the rest. Rest day Sunday, just walking the dog casually. Don't sit on your butt. Don't be a loaf of bread on Sundays if you can. Been doing Saturday and sub for rest day since Matt has baseball. Yeah, I mean there's no thing saying your rest day's got to be Sunday. It could be Saturday. Make it work for your life. I know people that, hey, I want to do my rest day on Monday because that's my craziest day at work and I need to focus on that. But try to make it simple, consistent. That will always beat complexity and inconsistency every time. Oh, my favorite part. Common mistakes. So the big one, and you know, big ones, doing too much too fast. I see this a lot. People just trying to go in, and this is the January problem. I think I might have on a recent call, I mentioned Kevin, and Kevin came to me. I knew him for I've known him for probably 9 years now. He's a local buddy. He came to me. I want to work with you. I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. And I said, all right, you're gonna trust me, you're gonna listen to what I gotta say, you're gonna follow. It's my only rules. Just put a little trust. I'm trusting you. And he goes, yes, here's my plan. So I didn't ask you to make a plan. I didn't ask for a plan. I'm gonna do keto. I'm gonna cut sugar. I'm gonna cut alcohol. I'm gonna work out 5 days a week. I'm gonna run 3 days a week. And this was a man who had done nothing like that the month of December. He's also a realtor who's very into the social scene in my neighborhood. And he's out and he's got season tickets to the Magic. And I always see his social media where and I'm like, you just setting yourself up for failure. So too much, too fast. He dropped in 2 weeks. He rebounded on almost everything. Went to the Magic game, had a little too much whiskey, DoorDash McDonald's that night. Like it was a full on mess. It was a full on mess. And you don't have to do everything. Program hopping. So changing programs, and this was one of my big beefs with group fitness is there was no progression. There was no, this is what the plan looks for 4 weeks. There is so much value in doing the same thing. I kind of mentioned that last night, but if you're trying to become a better runner, you're probably not going to go pick up downhill skiing tomorrow. Like maybe you incorporate swimming because they kind of work in alignment with, but like rock climbing is not going to help you running too much. So program hopping, like there's definitely, you run a 5K. Well, yeah, we're going to run 3 days a week. And each time we're either going to try to get a little better. We're going to try to up our cadence, our step count, or we're going to try to increase the endurance. And there's just gets lost. So value in just doing it the same for 3 or 4 weeks, seeing how much better can I get. Did I start this phase lifting 5 pounds and I'm lifting 20 now? Holy smokes. I added 15 pounds to my reps. And like, yeah, that's how you get better. Chasing the soreness instead of progress. So soreness, bad indicator. That just tells me something's a little off. We got to work on the nutrition a little much. Add in the weight before mastering the technique. Don't go too crazy on it. And yeah, give the program time to work. Soreness is it's not a good success metric. Quality reps repeated over time. We get better by what we keep doing. Bruce Lee, I fear not the man that can throw 1,000 different kicks, but the man who practices one kick 1,000 times. I butchered that, but it was close. It was close. I don't even know what time it is. So I'll keep moving. What progress looks like: better movement, more confidence. What progress in strength training looks like, I should say that. So, better control, better movement, please, better balance. If you leave with one thing, I hope it's better balance. If I could reduce your risk of injury by fall, that's fabulous. More confidence, less fear around, the more challenging movements. So send me the videos, send me the questions, let me analyze the form. But that progress, it definitely be more than just the weight on the bar, control, better movement with that same weight, all that matters. What else? Oh, I got to the last one. And I left just enough time for questions. I go over if we need to. If you got to go early, I get it. Final takeaways tonight. So train all the movement patterns, using all the rep ranges, rest intentionally, sustainable splits. The strong bodies happen one session at a time, but repeated, and done better and better. Now I want to see people on a big screen. Let's see. Does being double jointed affect the ability to do some of the exercises? Definitely could. It definitely could. Where are we double jointed is the question.
I'm double jointed in a lot of places. My knees is one of them. They're like I'm hypermobile, not to y'all can mute this if you don't want to hear this. My legs can bend backwards, my fingers bend backwards, and the worst one is my arm. I'll save that for our call tomorrow because that one was surgery induced.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a one-on-one tomorrow, and I'll show you that one. I don't want to show everyone because sometimes people are like, "Oh my god!" But like, I live with it. And I'm
If
fine.
you
It
all
just
want to see
looks
the
funny.
craziness, stay on after for the Erica show.
It's not.
I'm just kidding.
It's not. It's not that crazy. But I've also lived with it for 22 years. So
I love that you volunteered. You're like, yeah, I'll show you right after when we have our call tomorrow. I'm going to show you how I can bend my arm in two.
well, I think that's part of the reason why I have a hard time with the straight arm planks into the shoulders because my elbow bends backwards.
So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and I'm going to deep dive a little more into what we can do versus what we can't do because that's going to need modifications. I want to make sure.
I'd love to be able to do it one day, but I fear me and the carpet almost became one the other day.
We're going to work. We're going to work on that.
Yay!
I'll see if I can dial some stuff in tomorrow. Think of all the things that it affects, though. Any of the exercises that it might affect before we chat. I keep dumping a lot of information. Who has questions? Other questions? Got to run. Good night, Dina. Being double joint flexibility. Yes, we said that.
Coach, quick question.
Go for it, Kat.
Those of us that have limited weights or at home gym, what is your thoughts on slow eccentric and concentric exercises to help with the reduced weight?
Absolutely. So one of the, and I was trying to be mindful of everybody's time tonight. One of the things you can always do to increase the challenge on things is focus on time under tension. So if you don't have, if you have limited access to weights, really focus slow, lower. It's gonna burn. Bob said get resistance bands. He said go shopping
I
after
got
he
it.
just bought a new house.
Yeah, I have a ton of resistance bands. In fact, if anybody needs more, I can ship some to them. I have like 4 packages of them.
But yes, slow and steady. I followed a whole 12-week plan. I talked to a buddy of mine and I'm like, my training's stale. I just want to break through some plateaus and, guy that we're kind of on the same level. And we were like, let's both do this. And we kind of designed a plan together that was it was very focused on the tempo and the rep range, and it was some workouts were an 8-second lower, which is like torture. And it's like, and then an explosive one up and things like that. And then we mixed in stretches with 1 rep max. It was crazy, but absolutely getting back to the point, your initial, absolutely time under tension is a big one. So work the timing, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. I like it. Right now, my off day is Friday with long run Saturday. Can I move Friday strength to Sunday? Absolutely. Absolutely. Super easy to do in the app. If you can't figure it out, I will move around for you. But you're going to want to hit. It's so much easier when I go on my own. I'm not like just looking at my phone, texting my wife. Let's see. Click the workout. Click the 3 dots at the top right. Click move to another day. Select the day. Easier when I do it that way. Any advice on bulletproofing my knees? What's the current status of what are we working against an injury? Remind me.
Yeah, so I kind of like have tendonitis under my kneecap on my left leg, and I just want to like get to a point where I can run again.
All right. Go into check out the on-demand library. I want to go in there so I can find the right one I'm thinking of. Man, on-demand mobility. Let me go to my workouts. I would mess around with the knee rehab one, the knee rehab stretches, probably 2 times a week, maybe 3 if your time allows it. They're a little shorter. And then if you do have time, like the runner's mobility, might just help loosen up the whole thing. And then slow and steady building the strength around it. Knee rehab on demand workout. So Heather is a PT out in the Dakotas, and she's somebody that had me put that on her calendar for a bit because she does them. So knowing that I've got a PT who is doing that program, that's a gold one.
Okay, so I actually couldn't find that. Is
You
there
couldn't
any
find?
way that I'd be able to have you send that to me?
Are you?
Like,
Let me look. I'm gonna make sure you have it. I don't know if I can
okay,
send you a direct link, but let me just make sure
yeah,
it got applied to you.
because I'm looking in the app and I just don't see it.
Are you on the main screen?
Yeah,
Do you see a little plus sign on the bottom right
plus signs.
above my face?
No. Yes.
Yellow.
Okay.
Click that.
Okay.
Click workout.
Okay.
Scroll to the second to last one, on-demand mobility.
Ah,
Now scroll down, knee
I
rehab.
see it now. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all valid questions tonight. I like it. This might be a weird question, but when we're tracking our workouts in the app and we're using dumbbells, how do you want us to record the weight? If we're using 220 dumbbells, is it going to be 6 reps at 20 or at 40? I personally do the first one. That is personal preference, and I'm usually able to figure out. I'm not going to be like, oh man, Elizabeth's curling 40-pound dumbbells for 12 reps. I'm usually able to do the math in my head when I look at it. And but whatever you started doing, stick with it because you'll never get a PR if you went one way and try to go back the other way. You'll never hit a PR again. We'll have to go in and edit the old ones. But whatever makes more sense for your brain, because I'm usually able to figure it out. And if I can't, I'll probably just ask. I personally, though, if I'm doing a pair of 20-pound dumbbells, I put it in as 20 pounds. Except calf raises and shoulder shrugs, because I maxed those out at the gym and I wanted to see the top weight. Oh, good to know. Thank you. Good. Got it. Jump for online class. Go get class. She probably left already. How can I stretch my quads without knee flexion? That's going to be a tough one. That is going to be a tough one, Miss Aubrey. Stretching the quads without flexing the knee. Let me see if I can find some good stretches for that we can dial in there.
All right. Or if the other PT wants to chime in, my mom couldn't think of any exercises, so I figured I'd put it out to the group.
Heather, you got any there? Stretch the knee. Stretch. That's gonna be hard.
Yeah, walking downstairs after California was unpleasant.
I'm racking my brain. I'm gonna see if I can come up with anything. I'm gonna add that to my notey notes. Oh God, I have my credit card saved into my notes. Stupid Run Disney Wine and Dine Marathon chaos. Going into my notes. Stretch, quad without knee flexion. Dude, that's gonna be hard. I'm gonna figure it out though. Maybe.
It's only the right side, but I don't want to stretch the left side and then be even more hobbled than I already am.
Yeah, no. We gotta figure out. Your PT mom couldn't figure it out.
She said it doesn't exist, is what she told me.
That's what I'm thinking. There's other things you can do for it, but I don't
Yeah.
know if there's other things you can do, but not stretching so much. Like you could do myofascial release, you could foam roll, all those things on the quad. Yeah, you look thrilled. Do a Theragun, but not quite.
Okay.
Dopey got her knee hurting a little bit. It happens. It's a lot of miles. Kathy needs that one too, please. Which mobility for clicking hips when doing core on the floor? Let me pull it up. Clicking hips. Let me go back into that program. And if anybody's got a pop off, this is just question time. If anybody's got to run, don't feel like awkward. It's an open door. open door policy, back in hip mobility, Claudia. Going to that one. And then just the straight up hip mobility. Play with those two. That'll be your homework. I think I talked to you Friday this week, so make sure you get that done. Maybe one day you could do it. Cues for lunges, that would be helpful. Big problem I see with lunges is people want to do this with their feet. They want to go in a straight line. Your feet should be in a natural position like riding railroad tracks. So that's going to be balanced. They should stay in that natural alignment versus a lot of people just want to go like this and one foot in front of the other. It's going to be a nightmare on balance. Nightmare on balance. Reverse lunge. I would test it out if you have access to a TRX strap or even a resistance band that you can hang up somewhere. Feel it out. Use the bands for a little extra stability, or even just having something to rest on, especially if it's your first time doing lunges. Anything to build it up before incorporating the dumbbells. So TRX, resistance band. If you're in a gym, you could hold on to, the side of a rack, but perfect. I would absolutely hip distance apart. So hip distance apart instead of railroad tracks. That's one of the most common things I saw coaching in person is like, I can't do lunges. Then you watch somebody do a lunge and they're, a balance beam. I could go back to that picture with that man, the terrifying one. And it's just it's not ideal. Not a good balance position. Try those, Marcel, and let me know how it goes. Let me know with the TRX. I wish I could go walk around Disney on my day off. It ain't bad. See you, Jen. You're welcome. Sitting here watching my girls do gymnastics, but she's about to wrap up, so I'm going to head out. Good night, everyone. Bye, Liz. Anybody else got anything tonight?
I got one. Tapering, recovery, resting for Princess. What do you recommend in terms of saving the legs, making sure they're fresh for all 3 races?
I'm going to ask everybody, and actually it's probably getting to be that time. Let me look at my calendar. Princess, we got on the 28th. I think the 23rd would be when we want to start that at the bare minimum, potentially the 16th. Shoot me just a direct message that says Princess, and I'm going to throw a little pre-race program in there. So that's where I'll take the legs out. We'll kiss them goodbye, even though everybody wants to work the legs, and let them rest. And that's something I do that with almost everybody. I know some people say you don't need to, but also I like to err on the side of caution. Like, you train for Princess for how long? You're ready for it. You spent all the money to go to Disney and all that stuff, and you don't want to end up like Aubrey. I'll make sure you're still paying attention, Aubrey.
I've had major diet changes in the last 2 weeks, and the energy levels are still balancing out. So I still feel pretty fatigued sometimes. So that's why I want to make sure I protect my legs.
All right, we'll protect the legs. Yeah, just shoot me a DM and I'll swap out the pre-race stuff and
perfect.
Shoot me a message if you're feeling too fatigued. I want to make sure your calories aren't too low.
It's not too fatigued. It's just I peaks and valleys, man. I used to eat a lot of junk food. I love cake and cookies and ice cream. Like I just soon eat that than a piece of steak sometimes, and that's not good. So it's been a pretty good shift for me.
All right. You're going to make some magic happen over the next 6 weeks.
I guarantee it.
I love it. Shoot me that DM, and then I'll see you, Princess.
Yeah, buddy.
Noel's out. New appreciate people who work and use a walking pad. Trying to walk on the trail, being a call was hilarious. Anybody else got anything tonight? All right. If not, the VIP crew, I'll see you on Thursday. The rest we'll see on Tuesday. Again, Tuesday at 6. And we will be covering nutrition next week. If you have nutrition questions, shoot them my way. If you have nutrition questions that you think would be good for the group call, because I'll be working on tightening up the stuff for that, but bring them my way. If not, have a good night. I like that, Todd. Todd and I got almost matching shirt colors on now.
Have a good night.
See y'all.
All right, talk to you Thursday.
Bye, Larry.